Welcome back to the community of the light, chosen one. The moment you stop reacting is the moment people start investigating. Let's be honest, nobody gets studied this closely for no reason. People don't pull out mental notebooks, track patterns, and quietly analyze your behavior unless something about you refuses to fit their expectations. This isn't curiosity. This is confusion mixed with disbelief, because in their mind your life was supposed to follow a predictable script, and instead you went off script without asking permission. You rewrote the narrative they assigned to you. You broke the mold they tried to cast you in, and that disruption, that refusal to play the role they wrote for you, that is what started the obsession. Here is what most people will not tell you. Behavioral researchers have long noted that humans become most fixated on individuals who break prediction models. Not the loud ones, not the flashy ones, but the calm, consistent, unbothered ones who keep progressing without drama. When someone cannot be easily read, when someone moves in ways that defy expectation, they get studied closely. You didn't crash when pressure showed up. You didn't unravel when things got unfair. You didn't start performing for sympathy or explaining yourself to stay liked. You stayed grounded when the ground was shaking. You stayed focused when distractions multiplied. You stayed committed when everyone expected you to quit. And that is where the obsession quietly began. Because nothing unsettles people more than someone who survives without advertising their struggle. The numbers stopped adding up in their mental calculations. You weren't supposed to make it through that season. You weren't supposed to recover from that loss. You weren't supposed to rebuild after that setback, but you did. And you did it without the emotional breakdown they were waiting for, without the public unraveling they expected, without giving them the satisfaction of seeing you broken. That composure, that resilience, that quiet strength became a problem for them. A problem they couldn't solve, a riddle they couldn't answer. So now you have got watchers, not fans, not supporters, observers. The kind who remember things you forgot, you said. The kind who notice your timing, your silence, your shifts. The kind who laugh around you but analyze you when you leave the room. They think they are subtle. They are not. Surveillance always looks calm on the surface and frantic underneath. What makes this almost comical is that you are not doing anything dramatic. You are just existing without the chaos they expected. No breakdown, no public unraveling, no storyline they can summarize to feel superior. Once you understand why people start studying you like a case file under bright lights, you stop internalizing their attention as pressure and start recognizing it for what it really is. A response to something they cannot control, cannot decode, and definitely cannot ignore. Number one, they are not watching you to copy you. They are watching to understand why you survived. At first, they didn't think you were special. They didn't see you as a threat or someone worth monitoring. You were supposed to fold quietly under pressure, the same way most people do. Life was supposed to rough you up, slow you down, maybe humble you in a way that kept you small and predictable. When that didn't happen, something inside them got unsettled. What they are trying to understand now isn't your success or your confidence. It is your endurance. You went through things that usually leave people bitter, unstable, or visibly damaged. Yet you kept moving forward without turning into what hurt you. That is the part they cannot wrap their heads around. Survival without visible scars doesn't compute for people who measure strength by noise. They expected you to announce your pain, post about your struggles, seek sympathy in the ways that make suffering visible and validatable. Instead, you processed privately, you healed in silence. You rebuilt without broadcasting the construction. So they start watching closely, paying attention to how you speak, how you respond, how you don't overshare. They replay interactions in their minds, searching for clues. Not because they want your life, but because they want answers. They want to know what held you together when everything around you was designed to break you apart. There is also an uncomfortable mirror effect at play. Your survival highlights moments where they gave up, compromised themselves, or stayed stuck longer than they should have. Watching you becomes a way to sit with that discomfort without directly facing it. If they can figure out what made you different, they can tell themselves it was something external, something you had that they didn't have access to. A better support system, more resources, easier circumstances, anything except the truth that resilience is a choice repeated quietly over time. Because accepting that truth would mean accepting responsibility for their own stagnation. And that is a weight most people aren't ready to carry. Number 2. Obsession starts when their narrative about you breaks down. They had a story, a carefully constructed mental script that made sense of who you were and where you would fail. In their heads, you fit into a box, predictable, manageable, containable. That story kept them comfortable. Then you broke it slowly, subtly, but unmistakably. You didn't act according to their timeline. You didn't crumble when pressure showed up. Everything they thought they knew about you stopped working. That is when the obsession begins. Humans are wired to stabilize chaos, and you became a living contradiction to their sense of order. They start analyzing you like a puzzle missing its last piece. Every detail, every interaction, every choice you make suddenly carries weight. They aren't just curious, they are desperate. Your consistency and composure are now an anomaly they feel compelled to study. Their minds replay your actions over and over, trying to decode what they cannot predict, hoping to restore control over a narrative that no longer exists. This is why obsession isn't casual. It is driven by cognitive discomfort. Your existence challenges their assumptions about cause and effect, about effort and outcome, about who survives and who doesn't. Every step you take refuses to fit the version of you they have built in their heads. Watching you now is less about you and more about them, scrambling to make sense of a world that suddenly stopped fitting their narrative. Number 3. You have become proof that their excuses are lies. Nothing frustrates people more than when reality proves their excuse is wrong. They have spent years justifying their own inaction with reasons that sounded logical in their heads. They told themselves it was the circumstances, the timing, the people around them, the lack of opportunities that held them back. They constructed elaborate narratives about why they couldn't move forward, why they had to settle, why their dreams were unrealistic. And then there is you, moving forward, surviving, thriving, doing it without having to explain or conform to their expectations. Every step you take silently exposes the stories they have been telling themselves as the fragile, convenient lies they truly are. They watch because you are living evidence that things could have been done differently. Every small success you achieve, every calm response to pressure, every boundary you hold firm becomes a mirror they don't want to face. It calls into question every rationalization they have leaned on to justify why they couldn't do the same. Your progress doesn't just remind them of what is possible. It forces them to confront what they chose not to do. The uncomfortable truth is that you probably started with less than they had, fewer connections, fewer resources, less support. Yet here you are, progressing while they are still stuck in the same patterns, still making the same excuses. That contrast is unbearable. It dismantles every justification they have built their identity around. If you can do it without the advantages they claim they needed, then what is really been holding them back? The answer terrifies them. It wasn't the world, it was the choice. And choice implies accountability they have been running from for years. If this is hitting different, go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know in the comments if you have felt this energy before. Number 4. They are looking for the trick because simplicity doesn't feel fair. People want to believe there is a hidden formula, a secret advantage, some trick you are using that explains your resilience. The idea that you simply chose consistency over chaos, discipline over distraction, doesn't sit well with them. Simplicity feels unfair because it removes the excuse. If there is no trick, no shortcut, no hidden advantage, then the only difference between you and them is choice. And choice means accountability, so they keep searching for the thing you are not telling them. They dissect your words, replay your actions, analyze your patterns, hoping to find the hidden mechanism that makes everything make sense. But there is no trick. There is only commitment repeated in silence, boundaries held firm, and a refusal to become what tried to break you. The more they search, the more frustrated they become because the answer is too simple to accept. You just didn't quit. And that realization is unbearable for people who gave up long ago. Number 5. Silence is a statement they cannot ignore. You stopped explaining yourself, and that shift created a disturbance in the way people interact with you. People are conditioned to expect justification, defense, or at least a reaction. When you offer none of those things, their minds scramble to fill in the blanks. Silence becomes the loudest response because it refuses to participate in their need for control. Your silence forces them to sit with their assumptions unchallenged and unvalidated. It removes their ability to argue, manipulate, or rewrite the story in their favor. Every moment you choose not to respond is a moment they lose access to you, and people obsess over what they cannot access. They replay your silence in their minds, trying to decode its meaning, assign it motive, make it fit into a narrative they can understand. But your silence doesn't exist for their interpretation. It exists because you have chosen peace over performance. What they don't realize is that silence is an active choice, not a passive retreat. It is a boundary that requires more strength than any verbal response ever could. Every time they bait you for a reaction and receive nothing, it confirms what they fear most. You don't need their validation. You don't require their understanding. You are not waiting for their approval. Your life continues with or without their input. And that independence is what transforms casual interest into full-blown obsession. They need you to need them. They need you to care what they think. When you don't, it shatters their sense of influence. Silence, in your hands, has become a weapon they have no defense against. Number 6. They are testing for inconsistency. People who study you closely are often waiting for you to slip, not necessarily to catch you in a lie, but to confirm that you are human in the ways they need you to be. They want to see the cracks, the moments where composure falters, where boundaries weaken, where resolve breaks. Because if you are inconsistent, it means their worldview still works. It means strength isn't sustainable, calm is just a mask, and survival is still conditional. But you keep showing up the same way. Your responses stay measured, your boundaries remain firm, your progress continues without the drama they expect. Every instance of consistency reinforces the uncomfortable truth that you are not pretending. This isn't a performance. This is who you have become. And the longer you maintain that standard, the more their obsession deepens, because inconsistency was their last hope for making sense of you. Number 7. Your indifference is mistaken for arrogance. When you stop seeking approval, stop defending yourself, Stop trying to be understood by people who have already made up their minds. It confuses them. They interpret your indifference as arrogance because they cannot fathom someone genuinely not caring about external validation. In their experience, everyone cares. Everyone wants to be seen, acknowledged, validated. So when you don't, it disrupts their entire framework. What they don't realize is that indifference isn't arrogance. It is freedom. It is the natural result of understanding that your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's perception. You are not ignoring them out of spite. You are simply focused elsewhere. But to people who need your reaction to feel relevant, your indifference feels like rejection. And rejection from someone they are fixated on intensifies the obsession. They become more determined to pull a response from you, to prove that you do care, that you are affected. And when you remain unbothered, their fixation only grows. Number 8. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Every level you reach, every skill you develop, every version of yourself you evolve into becomes a measurement they cannot escape. They watch you improve, and it highlights the fact that they haven't moved. Not because you are trying to outpace them, but because growth is visible and stagnation is undeniable when placed side by side. You are living proof that time doesn't heal or improve anything on its own. It is what you do with the time that counts. This comparison isn't something you create. It is something they impose on themselves. You are not in competition with them. You are focused on your own path, your own evolution, your own transformation, but their minds turn it into a race they didn't agree to run. They measure their lives against your progress and find themselves coming up short. They see you learning new skills while they are still talking about learning someday. They see you building while they are still planning. They see you executing while they are still hesitating. Every new accomplishment you achieve quietly amplifies the pressure they feel to justify why they are still in the same place. Why they are still having the same conversations, facing the same problems, making the same excuses. And instead of using that pressure as motivation to finally move, they turn it into obsession. Watching becomes easier than changing. Analyzing becomes safer than acting. Criticizing becomes more comfortable than creating. The tragic irony is that they have the same hours in a day that you do. They have access to the same information, the same opportunities, the same potential for growth. But they chose comfort over challenge. They chose familiarity over faith. They chose to stay where it is safe rather than venture where it is transformative. Your growth doesn't diminish them. Their refusal to grow diminishes them. You are just the mirror that makes it impossible to ignore. Number 9. They cannot reconcile your calm with your circumstances. People expect struggle to look a certain way. They expect stress to show, pain to be visible, pressure to break composure. When you move through difficulty without displaying the signs they expect, it creates dissonance. They know you have faced challenges. They may even know the details, but your response doesn't match the script they have written in their minds. This mismatch becomes a source of fixation. How are you this calm? How are you still moving forward? How are you not visibly affected by what should have destroyed you? They study your demeanor, your words, your energy, trying to locate the hidden strain. But what they don't understand is that calm isn't the absence of struggle. It is the result of processing pain privately, refusing to perform suffering for an audience, and choosing inner stability over external chaos. Your calm is intentional. And that intention is what they cannot decode. Number 10. They are waiting for permission to give up on you. Deep down, many of the people watching you closely want a reason to stop caring, stop analyzing, stop being affected by your existence. They are tired of the mental energy it takes to track someone they cannot control or predict. But they need justification. They need you to fail, stumble, or reveal some flaw significant enough to give them permission to dismiss you. Until that moment comes, they remain trapped in observation. Every success you achieve, every boundary you maintain, every calm response you give extends their sentence. They cannot look away because you haven't given them the out they are searching for. And the longer you remain consistent, the more exhausting their obsession becomes. They are not watching because they want to. They are watching because they cannot find a good enough reason to stop. Number 11. You represent the version of themselves they abandoned. Somewhere in their past, they had potential, ambition, dreams that felt real and reachable. They had a version of themselves that could have endured, evolved, succeeded. They felt the pull toward something greater. They heard the call to rise. They sensed the potential burning inside them. But they compromised. They gave up. They chose comfort over growth, excuses over effort, safety over the sacred risk of becoming who they were meant to be. And then you showed up, living proof that the path they abandoned was actually possible. Walking, breathing evidence that the dreams they buried were never unrealistic, just uncomfortable. Watching you is like watching the ghost of who they could have been walk through walls they swore were unbreakable. It is painful, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. Every choice you make echoes the choices they didn't make. Every win you achieve highlights the potential they left rotting in the graveyard of could have been. They study you not to celebrate your success, but to examine the life they traded away for temporary comfort and permanent regret. You are the living reminder of the version of themselves they killed, the version that would have taken risks, the version that would have stayed disciplined when it hurt, the version that would have believed in the vision even when nobody else did. And they cannot stop staring at what could have been because deep down they know the truth. That version of them didn't die because it was impossible. It died because it was inconvenient. It died because they chose to kill it. And your existence will not let them forget that murder. Number 12. Your evolution is unpredictable, and that terrifies them. People like predictability. They like knowing what to expect, how someone will respond, where someone is headed. But you keep evolving in ways they didn't anticipate. Every time they think they have figured you out, you shift, you grow, you adapt, you become something new. And that unpredictability removes their sense of control. They cannot map your trajectory because you are not following a linear path. You are not confined to their expectations or timelines. Every change you make, every new direction you take, every unexpected move disrupts their ability to categorize you. The paradox is that the less you try to impress them, the more attention they pay. They study your habits, your mindset, your decisions, all in an attempt to decode the how behind your evolution. But there is no formula. It is steady, organic, and entirely self-directed. You are a moving target, not because you hide, but because you refuse to stay the same. Number 13. They are not trying to expose you. They are trying to reassure themselves. The obsession people have with you isn't always about you. Most of the time, it is about them. Every note they take, every interaction they replay is an attempt to soothe their own insecurities. They want proof that you are human, that you have flaws, that your resilience isn't limitless. Watching you becomes a way to reassure themselves that the world is still predictable. Your calm and quiet confidence creates discomfort because it contradicts their assumptions about how life works. They want the narrative to make sense, and when it doesn't, they fixate. They aren't collecting evidence to undermine you. They are collecting it to answer the questions they are too afraid to face about themselves. Why aren't they like you? How did you survive when they would have crumbled? This obsession grows because every interaction with you reminds them that they aren't measuring up. Their mind becomes a constant loop of analysis, not to compete with you publicly, but to internally reassure themselves that the world still functions on rules they understand. Number 14. The moment they stop watching is the moment they accept defeat, and they are not there yet. Obsessive attention doesn't fade because people like you. It persists because your existence challenges everything they thought they understood about control and prediction. They keep watching because surrendering to the reality of your resilience feels unbearable. To stop observing would be to admit that they have no power over you, no leverage, and no hidden edge that could bend your life to their expectations. This fixation isn't casual. It is methodical, persistent, and uncomfortable to witness. They note your timing, your choices, your calm responses, your ability to thrive under circumstances that would shake most people. Every detail they scrutinize is a silent attempt to locate a weakness. But the more they watch, the more obvious it becomes that there is nothing to catch. Your life moves on its own terms, and that alone is infuriatingly undeniable. They continue to observe, because admitting defeat would force them to confront an unpleasant truth. Some people cannot be tamed, predicted, or understood through the lens of expectation. Their obsession is fueled by the hope that one day something will slip. Yet still, they linger. The irony is that your unbothered presence quietly demonstrates exactly what they cannot face. Your life isn't theirs to manage, and your power is internal, unshakable, and independent of their scrutiny. The moment they stop watching is the moment they accept that reality. Until then, the observation continues, growing more intense, more desperate, and more revealing of their own insecurities. Before we close this out, if this message is landing, drop a comment below and let me know which point resonated most with you. Your engagement helps this reach the people who need to hear it. The reality is this: the intensity of attention you receive from certain people isn't random. And it certainly isn't about you in the way they might want you to believe. It is a reflection of the disruption you bring into their world. The disruption of expectation, predictability, and control. They watch, analyze, and obsess, not because they want to celebrate your life, but because your calm, your resilience, and your independence expose truths they are too afraid to face within themselves. You survive when others crumble. You evolve when others stagnate. You rise above what was meant to break you, and in doing so, you exist in a space they cannot reach, cannot fully understand, and cannot contain. Think about that for a moment. You occupy territory in this life that is completely inaccessible to people who refuse to do the internal work. You have built a fortress of self-mastery that has no door for those who haven't earned the keys through their own transformation. Every glance they cast, every mental note they take, every replayed interaction is a testament to the quiet power you wield. You don't need to fight, argue, or perform for attention. You don't need to validate yourself to anyone. You don't need to prove your worth to people who lack the capacity to recognize it. Your very presence is evidence of strength, endurance, and autonomy, qualities that cannot be copied, measured, or predicted through any formula or shortcut. And the more unbothered you remain, the more powerful you become. Not in their eyes, but in reality, because true power isn't about being seen. It is about being unshakable, regardless of who is watching. It is about moving with purpose when no one's applauding. It is about maintaining your standards when everyone around you is compromising. It is about staying true to your vision when the world is screaming for you to conform. That is the power that creates obsession. That is the strength that demands attention. That is the energy that cannot be ignored, copied, or controlled. At the end of the day, the fixation of others is not your burden. It is your reflection. It is proof that your life, your choices, and your evolution are undeniable. You are living outside their scripts, beyond their reach, and in ways that silently challenge everything they thought they knew about people, power, and possibility. You are uncatchable because you are not running from anything. You are running toward your destiny. You are untouchable because you have placed your identity in something deeper than external validation. You are unexplainable to those who rely on patterns and control because you operate from a place of internal authority they have never accessed. That is your quiet victory. That is your sacred rebellion. That is your divine disruption. And it will continue to unsettle, fascinate, and demand attention as long as you keep moving forward on your own terms. Not their timeline, not their expectations, not their definitions of success. Your terms, your path, your power. If this video resonated with you, make sure you subscribe to the channel to never miss a breakthrough moment. Like this video to let us know the message landed. Comment below with your own experiences so we can dive deeper together, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Because understanding the way people fixate on your power is the first step to embracing it fully. Don't let anyone else's obsession define you. Own your strength and watch the world try to catch up. God bless. Together, we rise toward the light.